This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs.
Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have another Top Cut breakdown. This time it is CoreTCG's Webcam Regional from this past weekend. And also, I am not from home, I'm on the road right now, so if the quality of the sound or video is a little bit lower, that is the reason. But I did still get this top 16 put together despite that. So if you guys do appreciate the work and everything for this, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. Also, this document is in the description, as well as links to the VOD and the re-uploaded of the finals for this event on YouTube. So shoutouts to Aandroidd, Human, and to DigiPanda for doing the stream this weekend too. It was very great, and I'm happy that it was able to get recorded and streamed for you guys. So anyways, going through our top 16, we do have 4 MetalGarurus, with one of them, Zackery Ramirez, taking first place. 3 Alphamons, 2 Gaiomons, a Lilith Loop of all things, a D-Brigade, a D-Reaper, a Security Control, a WarGrey X, a Grandis, and a red-yellow hybrid. So interesting to see still a lot of one-ofs trying to get through this. Most of these one-ofs decks, I still think, is like we're just in this meta where everyone needs to try to win as fast as possible. Security Control does exist, and it does have like the occasional win, as we saw here on this one too, but it really is an interesting format where, yes, there are technically more viable decks floating around, but all of them feel very, very similar, and it's really just comes down to kind of security luck more games than not. I will say it is interesting to see that there are no Imperial Dramons or DNA armors in this week's build, so that is something that's kind of been topping, at least getting like one spot in most of the top 16, so that's something that I think is missing from here. And yeah, I don't have anything more for that. We're just going to go into the individual deck list now, starting with Jeffrey's first place MetalGaruru X. First up, we do have Zackery Medbay Ramirez, first place MetalGaruru X, and I think MetalGaruru is just one of the decks that has just gotten better and better every week. I don't know if it's more and more people who are playing the list are going with it, but I think a lot of people are just kind of tuning into how strong this deck can be, how consistent it can be, and sometimes it can just do whatever you want. If you need to make a big kind of control strategy, if you want to kind of go kind of OTK centric with this deck, it does both pretty well, and it has a lot of really good consistency targets for it. So obviously, I think one of the bigger things is the Garurumon X being able to prevent battle destruction, on top of having the WarGrey promo that lets you have like lets you swing with it twice, which you can Digivolve on top of to get Security Attack +1 very easily. The card draw from Garurumon, and just the amount of cycle this deck gets in general. I think there's just a lot of strong things with it, especially since I think X Antibody, this is one of the best decks to take advantage of that card, and that's exactly what Zackery did this weekend. So I don't have a lot to add to Metal Guru. It has been kind of known as an archetype now, and I think most of the builds are looking pretty similar. But even so, it's very strong, and when it goes off, it goes off. So again, congrats to Zackery for their finish there. And second place, not a big surprise for this one either, is Kelvin Hernandez's second place Alphamon. And Alpha's been doing super good, and I think this is one that a lot of people have expected to do good in this format. I will say this is right after the announcement for the new ban list for Japan, which if we would be getting, the only difference is the Doro Greymon will be limited to 1. And I think that kind of makes sense for a card like this. I like just the fact that it has like really good effects on both the Digivolution as well as the Inheritable. It's kind of like the strongest card in the archetype by a good amount, just because of how flexible it can be. Being able to prevent effects from deleting or reducing DP until the end of opponent's turn is quite strong. It doesn't prevent bouncing, but you can do that with Breath of the God. Also, since it's just this Digimon, and when Digivolving, if you're able to make the stack with this at the same turn, you get to do that. And just the fact that the Inheritable lets you gain Security Attack +1, which means it's very, very easy to get 2 or 3 of these boys traditionally underneath 1, and you can just really end the game pretty quickly with it. So in general, I think Duro Greymon to 1 will affect this deck. I don't think we're getting it immediately. This probably will happen with the release of either set 10 or EX3, I suppose, but I do think this deck, can work without the Duro Greymon, and I think it's still very strong. I think the only thing I'd say is missing is that there has, like, when they remove cards like this that are very specific to an archetype, they'll have to kind of make another Duro Greymon, I think, eventually, to kind of fit, just to even get the effects from the Dex Duro Greymon. because this card just kind of doesn't exist if we don't have a Dual Greymons to Digivolve on top of. But I don't know. We've seen Alphamon's very strong. I think it is still the best deck in the format. I think both MetalGaruru X and this are tied for best deck in the format. I think we've seen enough data for that now, and it's just very strong. So not much more than that. Congrats to Kelvin for their finish. And next up, we do have our third place. This is Gaiomon. And this has been one of my favorite kind of archetypes to kind of get some love from this format and do pretty well. So we did have Ren's list here, which should get third place, and I don't know. I played a lot of Black WarGreymon in the previous set, and I feel like it was missing just a little bit of something to make it tick. And I think we got it with a combination of the Greymon X antibody and the Gaiomon. So both of these cards are fantastic for the protection off the Greymon, as well as for Gaiomon to have, just being able to have Blitz on your level 6 to be able to take advantage of the Metal Greymon, to be able to swing into things, and also being 13k and easily plus, with the Koromon, you get +1, and with one of the Agumons, it's +2. So it's very easy for this guy to get big enough to swing over a potential bad guy, especially if you do the Metal Greymon X on top of it first, so it gets a +3k boost until the end of your opponent's turn, and then you can go into Gaiomon and swing over anything, including the the mothers, which have been pretty strong in this format, and yeah, just the consistency of the extra drawing you're able to do. The Cool Boy is great for us. The Red Memory boost and being able to Digivolve a Greymon on top of itself. Even just doing an Agumon Digivolving on top of itself is great. Gets a lot of cycle and can just help you find your pieces, which is really the big thing. Red's just had a lot of consistency issues being able to find the lines that you need to find, and I think with a build like this, it's going to find it very consistently, and it's going to be very strong with what it's doing. So congrats to Ren on this, and I'm really happy to see Gaiomon doing well. I literally just released a video like the day before this event for Gaiomon and how much I like it, so I'm happy he got a third place in this tournament. So next up, we do have Sergey's fourth place Lilith Loop, and this is probably one of the most interesting decks from this top 16. Dare I say it is the most interesting deck, strictly because Lilith Loop is kind of just a relic of the past at this point. But this deck obviously put in some work for this weekend. And honestly, what's the newest card in here? Nothing incredibly new specifically from this. Are there any BT9 cards? No, right? It's strictly a BT8 list and then one EX2 card with the Death Slinger. So, I mean, this is a great effect, especially since it's very easy to get enough cards into your drop with these effects. But it's kind of like a mix between like Lilith Loop and the idea of like a purple rush deck, in the sense that you're trying to just get, set up your graveyard, or your trash, sorry, use your Lilithmon, go into it with a Jack rate or a win rate 60%, go into your Zwart, get all the effects here too, and it's Eismon scatter mode. We have 4 of this, but we still you can only run 1 of the regular Eismon, and then we do have the Cerberusmon kind of effects here to take advantage. You can't play this strictly off the Zwart itself, but you can play a Cerberusmon and then just hard cast a Werewolf mode from there to gain the effects there. Dead or Alive you can also use to play the Werewolf mode as well if needed, which can get some extra bonus. Like that just gets 1 extra memory outright, and going from there. So I don't know. I really like Lilithmon. I think this is a pretty big brain deck to focus on all of the interactions, and it's very particular. We're only running 8 purple rookies and then 1 Lucamon too, so that is quite little. I think you have to be able to find your lines, but if you do, you can get some really good effects from it. So anyways, this is really interesting. Congrats again to Sergiy for their finish there. And next up, we are going to go to Lloyd, 7th place, D-Brigade. And D-Brigade is 100% like just an archetype that I've been falling more and more in love with this format, especially like we've had D-Brigade around for pretty much since BT4, right? As like an archetype, and every format, I'm like, all right, rebuild D-Brigade. Is it doing anything right now? No. Okay, unsleeve it, put it away, try again in a couple months, right? And this is the first format where I've done this, and it just feels good. It just feels good. There's a lot of lines for it. You're aggressive enough that you can get some pings in. The Commandermon with the on-deletion to play another Commandermon is incredibly obnoxious to try to get stuff, try to get rid of, and there's some cool effects. And then Ultimate Flare and Iron-Fisted Onslaught are two, I think, of the strongest option cards in the game. Kongu also can exist in this. Private Memory Boost can get some cool effects off. And even just hard casting Death Exmon, if your opponent kind of goes wide enough, is fantastic. Like if they try to play enough blockers to kind of slow you down or do something, this can just instead say, okay, well now I'm secretly control list and I play this and you lose kind of thing. So I think that's really cool. And then the Kazu is such a good tamer for this deck. Lets you gain memory as well as ditch extra commander mons in hand to get enough of your guys into the trash to get the Dark Dramon effect off, which is nice. Izzy is good too. And I don't know, I really like this deck. I really like Commander Mon. I'm happy it's getting these finishes here, and it's just doing well. So happy to see it. So congrats to Lloyd for their finish there. Next up, we do have Corey's 9th place D-Reaper, and again, I don't have a lot left to say about D-Reaper right now. Corey, congratulations for your finish there. I think the biggest thing is how many of these searchers you run. I've seen people try to go down as low as 17, but I think 20 is a pretty good kind of wave here. And then people are either all in or not in at all for the Starmons. And so I do think like playing 20 of the searchers and 4 of the Starmons is quite greedy on that side. But this, I don't know, Starmons can be very, very good, especially since I think people are starting to put in Psychmons to prevent the reductions, and so the Starmons can really help you kind of out there. But Death Exmon we know is good. We know X Antibody with the Mother is good. 3 Reapers, 4 Gatekeepers, and just kind of going from there. But I don't have a lot to say except for, again, congrats to Corey. And I think Mother's just going to be around for a bit, and it's just going to be strong. So next up we do have Thundar's Tran's 11th place security control. And I really do like people getting creative with their security control list. And specifically for this one, some new things that I've seen is that it's kind of really going for the hard cost level 5. So we do have Aandroidd added here as well. This can just be like a good alternative target for like Flame Hellscythe if you don't have anything better. Your opponent's Digimon getting Security Attack -2, which can just be important enough, especially if they have like a big Alphamon sitting out there. You can just hard cast this instead. That is just way better than the Recovery 1 that you would get from Magna anyways, which is nice. Going into like having another target to Digivolve your Sakuyamon on top of is also really nice too. And then Ophanimon fall down mode. You are always going to have a yellow Digimon underneath it. And then you can play a purple or yellow with level 4 from your trash, which is simply only Salamon, but that is fine for what we're doing. And then also Death Exmon, which can Digivolve on top of the fall down mode. So being able to have like a quick Digivolution route off of like hitting a Flame Hellscythe and security is kind of nice too. Also taking in the black tamers, so the Izzy's and the Izzy Joe, and then also Iron Fisted Onslaught and the Ultimate Flare, which we were talking about earlier, which does have some really good destruction. Chaos Degrade can almost, only Kongu can prevent this from going off, which is great. And then also the Sora Mimi, just to have some purple tamers out for your stuff. Since there's no yellow tamers in this, strictly because you're always going to have, hopefully, yellow out with your Salamons and Raising and stuff. And so being able to get another purple tamer out for your source is good. Which, again, the fall down mode can just exist as a purple source if you need it for your Flame Hellscythe or your Chaos Degrade too, which is quite nice. But I think this is a really cool list, and congrats to Thundar for their finish there. Next up, we do have John's 14th place WarGrey X. And of all the, if you want to play Greymon archetype in this format, I still think Gaiomon is the stronger of the two. But if you just want to be a Rip Snorton 10-minute game OTK list, I think this WarGrey X can definitely do that for you. There's a lot of gas underneath this if you're able to find all your pieces, and it really, really goes off if your opponent's, especially if your opponent's kind of like not expecting it, which is kind of nice. So we also have like the Metal Greymon, so we do have like the level 7 from here, which gets to delete something with 4K or less, or also it gives your piercing to your guys, which can be important. We also do have this one. So when Digivolving, if you have a tamer play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5K, and then also has the protection here if needed. So like if you don't have another of the Greymon X antibodies that can help you there. And just this guy is just so good. If you're able to swing into it, when a card's removed from your opponent's security stack, gain 1 memory, and then so if this has security attack +2, it does 3 checks, you get 3 memory back, which means if you do it with the X antibody, you're able to go up to it, swing, and sometimes keep it your turn, and then do like an Omnimon Blitz for game, which is quite nice. I don't know. If you play against this list, it's very, very obnoxious to go to, especially like if they just have enough of these Greymon X antibodies underneath, or at least enough of their double stack levels underneath. You're able to pretty much just keep this thing alive versus like any removal your opponent's going to have besides battle, and just do a lot of damage, keep it your turn, and then play some stuff, and then kind of just, I guess, win on the next one. So I don't know, play against, if you're feeling lucky, I think this is a strong deck and it can do a lot. So congrats again to John for their finish. We do next have Kooper's 15th place Grandis. And this is I'd say a moderately spicy build in the fact that it is the blue version of it. So we do have 4 of the Davis, we do have the Megadeth, the Gigadeath, and some blue tamers, or blue hybrids to Digivolve on top of the Davis. And the nice thing about this too is that you're just able to use the effects of Davis to help find your pieces to get you, have a memory tamer and then just kind of go off from there. So I do like that effect. We also are running the Gaiomon as our rookie here, so inheritable if this is level 6 or higher, against security attack +1, so that extra security attack +1 for free is nice. And it just means you get a free Digivolve on top of the Gaiomon. The only negative, obviously, is it's a cost of 1 to Digivolve on top of an egg, but that's not always bad, especially since sometimes you want to only pass 1, so if that's something that's available for you, go for it. There's also this is really, I don't know, there's a lot of unique choices here. So also the Gaiomon X antibody here. It just has the inheritable, when this Digimon has Insectoid against Piercing, which is kind of nice for what we're doing. Obviously, you already get Piercing off the promo one, but if you don't have that in your line, you're good. But you also just, I don't know, being able to Digivolve on top of this can Digivolve on top of Gaiomon, right? Which is we don't have Gaiomon, so it's just simply a Digivolve up your chain, I believe. So because I don't think you can Digivolve on top of Kabuterimon. So right, because this is a Gaiomon, which can only Digivolve on top of a Gaiomon. Right. So, anyways, it's really interesting to see this blue package, and again, like Gigadeath is such a good card, especially since it returns it to the bottom of its own deck. I think it gets around Breath of the Gods, right? Because Breath of the Gods only says return to hand. A hand or deck. Alright, so it's still, never mind. Breath of the Gods is too good. Too good. Gigadeath can still do some stuff, especially if you hit in security. It does a lot. But it is, I don't know. Megadeth is good too. Obviously, Gigadeath is something you want to hit in security more, but I'll digress from there. Anyways, Kooper, I really like the list. Obviously, very spicy with the blue stuff, and I'm happy to see you got your top 16 finished with that. So last up, we do have Aaron's red-yellow hybrid, and I've seen a list like this did get a top 16 finish recently. I think it also got exactly 16th place, which is pretty funny to just see this deck in here. Obviously, this is a list archetype in general that just never got to exist in the North American BT9 as much. Just with the limit to Jet Sophie to 1, that does just kind of affect a lot of what this deck does, unfortunately. And I still feel like, yeah, obviously Jet Sophie is, I think, very powerful, and I understand the limit to 1, but without just another hybrid, just even, I don't know. This is definitely a card I wish was errated instead of limited to 1. I know we don't do erratas in this game as much, but it's still just a shame. Like a archetype like this gets neutered before you can even play it. Especially since I didn't think this was doing incredibly good in this format, and I don't know. I really just like the idea of like running these red-yellow decks, like this red-yellow hybrid. There's a lot of kind of fun support for it, and it just kind of goes away when Jet Sophie's at 1. At least like the high end, right? Because if you can't consistently go from level 4s to level 5s to level 6s, like if your level 5 spot is kind of chopped off, it just kind of stinks. So anyways, I don't have much particular stuff against Aaron's. I do like the Sunrise Buster. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this. You're obviously running a lot of yellow tamers, and heck, a lot of the security control, like security options, still don't get around the idea of, oh, well, I have 3 tamers and you have 2 securities, so I can just one by one hit them in and go for game. And I think that's still very, very strong right now. So anyway, that's all I got for this one. This is Aaron's list, and congrats for 16th place. And that is the end of the video for me today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Again, sorry for the quality on this one compared to the others since I'm on the road. And that will be it for me. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.